Presented by Honda. At the Checkered Flag event, the real victory lap is the drive home.
Welcome to Citi Field. We are in Queens, New York, the home of the Mets. Citi Field, and the Blue Jays have never won a game here playing against the Mets. They're 0-2 at Shea Stadium. They're 0-9 here at Citi Field. It's about time they won a game, don't you think? Granderson spent 4 years playing for the Mets. He also played 4 years for the Yankees. He got a nice welcome. They had a video tribute to Granderson about 10 minutes ago up on a big video board. And he is a very popular man no matter where he goes. Let's take a look at the lineup for the Blue Jays. They're in game over 500, third in the East. Curtis Granderson leading off this year. He's got a .447 on base percentage with 8 extra base hits. He's a little bit of a funk lately, just 3 for his last 23. Kevin Pilar likes hitting against the National League East division. His numbers against the Mets are impressive. 6 for 14 with a home run and 3 RBIs. And they're in tough tonight against one of their former teammates, Noah Syndergaard.
There's the big right-hander, 6'6" Noah Syndergaard. Had his start rained out on Saturday. That was in Philadelphia, so it was pushed back to tonight. The former compensation first-round pick of the Blue Jays in 2010 has not won a game since April the 8th. Hard to believe, despite 5 consecutive starts where he has not given up more than 3 earned runs in any of those games. He's given up 9 earned runs total in his last 5 starts. The Mets offense just can't seem to score him any runs. His last 3 games, all of them have been 1-run games.
Syndergaard won the first 5 starts. Take a look at the defense in the outfield. And Mcguire and Bruce, and a former familiar face over at third base.
Todd Frazier's on the disabled list. He usually mans third base for the New York Mets, but tonight Jose Reyes will get his 3rd start at third base. Normally a shortstop, he gets the start tonight here at third.
Number 18, Curtis Granderson.
Curtis Granderson, as we mentioned, played 4 years for the Mets. He has spent 8 years playing in New York, 4 for the Yankees as well. Here's the first pitch from Syndergaard, cut on and driven down the left field line. That slices into the seats. Granderson crossing the Mets up. He rarely swings at the first pitch, but he saw a fastball he liked.
I think that's the key against Noah Syndergaard. He's a big man who throws very hard. Everybody knows that, but he's got outstanding command and control. Very rarely does he walk players.
And he can bring it up there pretty good. 99 miles an hour, second pitch of the ball game from Syndergaard. Noah's 25 years old. He's from Mansfield, Texas, as Pat mentioned, the first-round pick of the Blue Jays in 2010. And there's strike 3. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. When you deal with Noah Syndergaard, you know you got to get it ready because he throws hard. He's among the leaders in velocity. You see the fastball velocity in the major leagues. Luis Severino crossed town with the Yankees. Noah Syndergaard right there with him, and Mike Fulton-Navich from the Atlanta Braves.
Velocity is awesome. I think it really makes it tough on the hitters, but velocity and being able to paint with it and throw it over the plate as much as you want is another thing, and that's the thing about Syndergaard that separates him from so many other pitchers. Yes, he throws hard, but he doesn't walk anybody.
Josh Donaldson. He takes his strike. Ball on a strike, 1 out. Donaldson batting .239 for the season. He has 3 at-bats against Syndergaard. Noah pitched against the Blue Jays in June of 2015. Pat, you mentioned that the Blue Jays drafted Syndergaard in the first round of the 2010 draft. They actually drafted 4 pitchers that round, and ironically 3 of them are in the ballpark tonight. Deck Mcguire, Aaron Sanchez, and Noah Syndergaard.
Those were the first 3 picks of the Blue Jays that year. 2010,
Deck Mcguire was picked 11th, Sanchez 34th, and Asher Wojciechowski was picked 41st after Syndergaard. Late movement at 100. Donaldson is called out on strikes. Back-to-back strikeouts for Syndergaard.
He's doing it again. His strikeout to walk ratio is 5-to-1. That means he has 5 strikeouts for every 1 walk. He's had 54 strikeouts and 10 walks this season. The only pitcher in Major League history to record a strikeout to walk ratio of at least 5-to-1 in his first 3 Major League seasons. That's impressive.
Here's Justin Smoak. Well, not only is it 99 and 100, it's got a lot of movement on it.
Don't remember that the last time we saw Noah Syndergaard 3 seasons ago right here in this ballpark. It was fastball, curveball, changeup. I don't remember the 2-seam action that we're getting right now.
There's a defensive shift. Reyes, the third baseman, playing at shortstop, and he's quite comfortable playing there, of course. Rosario, the shortstop. Cabrera, the second baseman, on the right side.
I don't know, Buck. That might have been a changeup right there.
93.
93. It took a little something off.
Smoak cuts and lifts a high fly ball down the left side. It's a foul ball into the seats. Syndergaard played his first season with the Blue Jays in 2010 in the Florida Gulf Coast League. He was 17 years old. Also on that team, Danny Barnes, Aaron Sanchez, Sean Nolan, Jake Marisnick, Dalton Pompey, and Moises Sierra. Another pop-up. Then in 2012, that's the season he put together before he was traded. He was at Lansing in the Midwest League. Again, Carlos Perez was his catcher. Anthony DeSclafani, another pitcher. Justin Nicolino, Sanchez, and Syndergaard, all on that A-ball team in the Midwest League.
Syndergaard might have been the 4th best starter on that staff. DeSclafani and Justin Nicolo were outstanding that year.
DeSclafani went 11-3. Nicolino went 10-4. Sanchez and Syndergaard, they were pedestrian at 8-5. Good start for Noah Syndergaard. How about striking out the side against his former club? 3 strikeouts. Jaime Garcia will take the mound when we come back to Citi Field. Staff. He's had kind of an interesting start to his managerial career. Started out 11-1. Been a different story lately. They're 19-18 as we speak. Asdrubal Cabrera. Last year he was their shortstop. This year he's their second baseman. He's having quite a season. Over his last 5 games, he's hit .400 for the season. He's batting .329. And Jose Reyes, the former Blue Jay, has hit well against his former ball club, a .417 average with a triple, a home run, and a pair of RBIs. He's playing at third base tonight.
Blue Jays send Jaime Garcia to the mound. This is his 8th start of the season, and need a good start from Jaime He has not completed 6 innings since his first start of the season. His command has been a little bit of a problem. He walked 5 Seattle Mariners in his last start. He didn't give up a home run, though, and that's the last time in that last start for the first time since the first game of the season. He's 2-5 in 10 career starts versus the Mets. Hasn't beaten them, though, since 2012.
Brandon Nimmo, the leadoff man, takes a pitch down and away for ball 1. 255 for the season, a home run and 3 RBIs. Left fielder, top of the order, lefty on lefty. It's a tough assignment for a leadoff man. Jaime Garcia, for his career, is 0-3 pitching in this ballpark. He's made 6 career starts. Pretty good ERA at 3.97. He last pitched in this ballpark pitching for the Yankees against Tampa Bay last year. And you say, how could that happen? Well, that game was moved from Tampa Bay to Citi Field because of Hurricane Irma last year. He has lost his last 5 decisions against the Mets.
Yeah, his last win September of 2012 versus the Mets. On top of that, he needs to go deep into the game today. Looks like they're going to be in tough against Syndergaard. That's a good start.
Breaking ball. Martin will go to first to complete the strikeout, and that was a good curveball from Garcia. Strikeout number 1. The Mets hitting .203 as a team against left-handed pitching. That's the lowest batting average against lefties in the majors.
It was a good start for Garcia. You got 2 strikes. Go out there and just throw that ball in the dirt with 2 strikes. Pick up the strikeouts. 4 outs have been made in this game, all of them via the strikeout.
Juan Mcguire, the center fielder. He goes after the first pitch. Pilar is going to have to play it on a hop. Texas League base hit for Mcguire, a 1-out single. Let's take a look at the Blue Jays defensively. Pilar anchors the outfield. It's Hernandez and Granderson. Urania at short and Solarte up the middle, but Curtis Granderson back in a familiar position in left.
Yeah, almost like a homecoming for him right here. He was talking earlier today about his time here in New York when he was playing for the Mets. He loved it. He said his biggest thrill was making it to the World Series when they won in Chicago. Remember when they beat the Cubs to get to the World Series? Winning there, he says anytime you can do that, that's his hometown, Chicago. Give him a chance to get to the World Series with the Mets.
Here is Asdrubal Cabrera, a switch hitter who has really gotten off to a good start this season. Has 47 hits in 143 at-bats, a .329 average. 6 homers, 23 RBIs. He has truly been their best hitter. And he's played very well at second this year.
They moved him over to second base. There was some talk about him making the switch over to third base, but then they signed Todd Frazier. He moved it over to second base. He's taken to it, and it has helped him offensively. I mean, if you had to pick one all-star, I think, from the Mets, this might be the guy.
Yeah, he has played very well, and when you think about his career, he has bounced around a bit. He began his career as a free agent, signing with Seattle in 2002, and then he went from Seattle to Cleveland for Eduardo Perez. Had 8 years in Cleveland with the Indians. Another breaking ball. Martin gets a chest protector on it. Cabrera was a 2-time All-Star while in Cleveland. He was an All-Star in 2011 and 2012. He also was a Silver Slugger in 2011. You can see where he ranks in the National League batting leaders. Odubel Herrera, top of the order.
Russell taking his time there. It looks like that one caught him somewhere. You can see the home plate umpire. That's Bill Welke, the crew chief, just giving him a little bit of time. That one got him in the arm. You can see the arm deaden just a little bit, and after he picked the ball up, just trying to get that feeling back in that right hand.
Garcia checking in on Lagares. Lagares is 2 for 3 in stolen bases.
And that's a good time, Buck, to throw over there after Russell got hit on the right arm. And he was shown that he was having some problem. Great time to throw over there because the Mets should be thinking about running here.
Not running here, and that was nearly a wild throw at first. Smoke did a good job. Garcia's got a couple of errors. He had a throwing error on a pickoff move early in the season. And then he made a bad throw on a little squibber out in front of home plate. Threw it down the right field line for his second error.
That was in his last start. That was against the Mariners.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Cabrera. Fly ball left field. Granderson is back on the track. He's got room, makes the catch right in front of the fence. Lagares hustles back to first, 2 outs. Cabrera retired on a long fly ball to left. So Wilmer Flores will be the cleanup hitter tonight. He's playing at first base. Lefty on the mound. No, Adrian Gonzalez. Flores is starting for the 12th time at first base, but he's not your prototypical cleanup hitter. The Mets have had a real problem with their cleanup hitters this season. As a team, they've averaged 190, and they have 1 home run from the cleanup spot.
Got off to a great start. You mentioned it, 11-1, but they have really struggled lately. And a big part of that, they're not scoring any runs. Not hitting home runs. Cespedes is not playing today. That's Yoenis Cespedes. He's had a quad problem. Been dealing with a bad quad for a while, and they're afraid that playing him, he might aggravate it and have to go on the disabled list.
Cespedes missed 80 games last year with that quad problem, and he's been playing at less than 100%. So combination of factors trying to get him rested. They had an off day yesterday. Wet turf, wet field, and not wanting to chance it. So Mickey Callaway, the skipper, decided to leave him out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, even though the Blue Jays are throwing 2 lefties in this series.
There goes Lagares. Cut on and missed. Martin didn't have much of a shot at throwing him out. 3rd stolen base for Lagares.
He's been thrown out just 1 time. He was going on the movement of Jaime Garcia. Watch, as soon as Jaime picks up that front leg, he is gone. And no chance for Russell to even attempt to make a throw down to second base.
One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs for Lagares. He's at second. Flores at the plate. Ball in the dirt. We mentioned the cleanup slot for the Mets. They have a 190 average with 1 home run and 16 RBIs. They rank last in the major leagues in all 3 of those categories. That also leads to the fact they have scored 3 runs or fewer in 9 of their last 11 games.
Yeah. Syndergaard's had 9 runs to work with in his last 5 games.
Now it's a full count.
With that stolen base by Lagares, first base is open. You've got a lefty on deck in Jay Bruce. So it looks like Jaime Garcia is pitching around Wilmer Flores.
Jay Bruce has a lot of experience against Jaime Garcia, and Garcia has had the upper hand. 3-2 pitch. Martin trying to settle it to the home plate umpire, but it's ball 4. And you're right, I don't think that's a bad walk with the base open. So there are runners at first and second. Jay Bruce will step to the plate.
He jumped ahead of him, 2 strikes, and then 3 straight out of the strike zone. Throw him a breaking ball, which he did. And Flores very patiently, I think he understood what he was doing after the stolen base, that he was pitching around him.
Jay Bruce Bruce has been away from the ball club for 4 days on paternity leave. He was with his wife for the birth of their child, and he is back now. Bruce has been the best clutch hitter for the Mets. A .360 average, 9 for 25 with 12 ribbies.
He is a dead pull hitter. Likes that ball out in front where he can yank it to right field, so the Blue Jays are in the shift. Garcia is a tough pitcher to pull because his ball isn't straight. Everything's moving, and now with a left-hander up there, looks like he's trying to work him away, throw some breaking balls away. You're hoping that Jay Bruce is going to try and pull it right into that shift.
Breaking ball downstairs. Bruce has 58 at bats against Jaime Garcia. He's 12 for 58. That's a .207 average. And he struck out 16 times, so these two know each other very well. They both played in the National League Central. St. Louis for Garcia and Bruce for Cincinnati.
Hey, if you're Mickey Callaway, you give him the green light here. 3-0. Check that. 3-1 now.
3-1, 2 outs. Garcia came up a low bloop single to Lagares and then got Cabrera to fly out the left. Then he walked Flores. So that's where we're at now. 3-1. Runners at first and second. Garcia has had problems in the past getting together with his catcher, whether it's Martin or Maley, just as far as trying to disguise the pitch selection because there's a runner at second.
They've had their share of cross-ups over the last couple of starts.
Fly ball, not that deep. Pilar's got plenty of room. This should end the inning. And it does. So Jaime Garcia gives up a base hit, walks a batter, but the Mets strand a pair. No score after an inning here in New York.
His young, talented right-hander was, quote, yet to do a lot at the major league level. He got plenty of pushback, as you can imagine, from those who interpreted those comments, believing Island thought that Syndergaard was somehow overhyped. Island clarified his comments by telling me at 25 years old, Syndergaard only had 2.5 years of big league service. His season was cut short in 2017 due to injury. So Island says, quote, when I said he hasn't done much in the majors, I meant he hasn't been around long enough to have some type of track record. If Syndergaard doesn't go 7 innings and gives up 1 run or less, people say he's pitched poorly, and that's just not the facts. But the Mets say they're very pleased with his development. Island saying, quote, anyone in baseball would want this guy at the top of their rotation.
No question about that. And Dave Island knows what he's talking about. He's been a pitching coach for a long time and a good one. Before he got this job with the Mets, he was in Kansas City for 6 years. Then he was a special assistant to Tampa Bay, pitching coach for the Yankees from 08, 09, and 10. And oh yeah, they went to the World Series in 9. He knows what he's talking about, and I respect what he said because he's right. They haven't had enough experience to really be a dominant pitcher. Just because he strikes out a lot of guys and throws 100, he's not polished yet. He's not a finished product.
Doesn't he have a World Series ring with Kansas City too? Wasn't he the pitching coach?
Yeah.
So he's got 2 World Series rings. He's coached and been in the game for a long time. I agree with it too. 2 years in the big leagues, 2.5 years in the big leagues doesn't make you a Hall of Famer just yet.
There's a base hit for Hernandez. Comes on a 1-2 pitch. Hernandez has really done a nice job as he gets the first hit. No, Syndergaard struck out the side in the first, and he touched 100 in that first inning. And Pat, he's as good a combination of command and velocity that you'll get in the game.
Yeah, we're going to take 2017 out because he only made 7 starts in that year because of the lat problem. He had a slightly torn lat muscle. But in 16 and 18, strikeouts, tons of them, very few walks. And it's awesome when a guy can throw that hard, but to be able to throw it where you need to. Now, if there's one part of his game that needs some improvement, he's been talking about, maybe I need to start elevating my fastball just a little bit too much. Give him something else to think about because his command is so good. He paints everything away and down. Good hitters can pick up on that, so maybe it's time to maybe elevate some of those high fastballs and then go back down again.
And Ervis Solarte, the second baseman, his average is down to 253. He still leads the club in home runs with 9. You mentioned an area of improvement for Syndergaard. Yeah, I agree with you. High fastballs would help, but he's really had trouble controlling the running game. They've caught just 1 of 9 base stealers this season, and for his career, they have stolen 48 bases against him, caught just 9.
2016, he gave up those stolen bases all by himself.
So Syndergaard keeping a close eye on Hernandez. Teoscar's 3 for 4 in steal attempts this year. Not running here. Another changeup missed downstairs. Syndergaard was an all-star in 2016. He went 14 and 9 with a 260 earned run average through 183 2/3 innings. But he did not pitch in the all-star game that season. He was a little bit weary. There goes the runner, and that ball is fouled out of play. Hernandez got a good jump that time.
One of the reasons he has not been able to control the running game is it's very deliberate when he goes home. He's got the high leg kick, concentrating on that hitter. I wouldn't worry about the running game if I was him. Watch the high leg kick as he rocks back. I mean, Teoscar is about halfway there by the time he lets go of the baseball.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Solarte. The only thing that I would suggest is because the Mets have trouble scoring runs, that running game becomes very important to him. You just don't get many runs of support, and you give up an extra 90 feet every once in a while. It could cost you a ball game. Solarte is going to slice that one into the seats.
Last time they saw Noah Syndergaard was right here 3 years ago. He's 22 years old. Gave up 2 hits in 6 innings. 2 of those hits, both of them were in the first inning, and then that was it. And as the game went on, he got stronger and stronger. 11 strikeouts and struck out 8 of the final 10 batters he faced.
Fouled straight back.
He went with the high fastball, and he used the changeup that day, and he's got a little bit of a breaking ball. You got to gear up for the fastball, and if he can start dropping that changeup in. Saw what it did to Justin Smoke. Smokey struck out in the first inning.
Another 2-2 pitch. There goes Hernandez. Bounced over the mound. Rosario, the shortstop, will come across and make the play on Solarte. On the play, Hernandez moves to second. Rosario was covering the bag, so he was already in motion toward second base when that ball was chopped over the mound.
He's a good young player. Known for his glove, although that's starting to come around. Rosario, he's made 3 errors this year. Young player, maybe rushed a little bit to the big leagues, getting up here.
He's 22 years old. This is his 6th year in the organization. Last year he got into 46 games. Here's Kevin Pilar. Pilar and Syndergaard were teammates in 2012 at Lansing in the Midwest League. Pilar was the most valuable player of that league that season.
They won. They won 82 games that year. Went to the playoffs. 10 players off of that team have played in the major leagues.
Unfortunately, some of them played for other teams.
That's the unfortunate part. There's been too many off of that team. Blue Jays, for a few years there, did a great job in the draft, getting some young talent, starting to develop it in the minor leagues. Unfortunately, they were able to trade them away.
Kevin Pilar batting .280 with 2 strikes this season. That's the 8th best record in the American League. Up the middle, off Syndergaard, right over the bag at second. Pilar is retired. Syndergaard might have got a glove on it, slowed it down a little bit, but that wasn't going to go through into center field. They mentioned Syndergaard played in the Midwest League in 2012, and after that season he was traded to the New York Mets December 17th. Syndergaard, along with Travis d'Arnaud, came to the Mets, and R.A. Dickey, Mike Nickius, and Josh Tolley all came to the Blue Jays in return. d'Arnaud's out for the season this year with Tommy John surgery, and he's had an injury-plagued career.
At the time of that trade, Travis d'Arnaud was the #1 rated prospect in the Blue Jays farm system. Syndergaard was #2. And it was d'Arnaud going first, and the trade wasn't going to be completed unless the Mets got Syndergaard. They demanded Syndergaard part of that, and unfortunately for the Jays, they gave him up.
Well, and too, they bought high. There's d'Arnaud, but R.A. Dickey was coming off a Cy Young season. And they bought high, that's for sure. They paid a high price for R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer. Russell Martin has the count in his favor, 2-0. Now it's 3-0. Hernandez singled to start the inning. Went to second base on the ground out by Solarte. Went to third on Pilar's ground out. John Gibbons gives his veterans a green light, 3-0, giving them confidence to turn it loose, and why not against a guy that throws 100.
Yeah, it might be the only fastball you get that's right to your liking, so don't pass on it. Russell had 3 hits on Sunday, so maybe he's starting to come out of a little funk that he's been in this year. He also drove in a run.
2 singles and a double for Martin. Had an RBI single in the 5th inning. It was off Hector Velasquez, the right-hander, who has since been placed on the disabled list by the Red Sox. Here's the 3-1 to Martin. Strike 2. Blue Jays trying to break out on top against Noah Syndergaard. He walked him. Fastball off the plate outside. First walk of the ball game issued by Syndergaard.
Going down in a way, that patented fastball away, but Martin has always had a great eye at the plate. He can work the count with the best of them.
Richard Urania getting the start at shortstop. His second start this season at short. Urania had a single in 4 at-bats on Sunday.
This is a tough spot in the batting order for a young kid to hit. You're hitting right in front of the pitcher. So you have to be patient. You got to make them come to you.
Boy, Syndergaard's got that down and away strike zeroed into the lefty so far. That ball runs naturally away from the left-handed hitters. Mesoraco, the catcher, held that target up and in before he was really set up. He just wanted to accentuate where he wanted it.
I thought that was going to be a decoy, you know, just in case somebody was given location. He held it up there. I thought he was decoying. I mean, he was going to go back down and away, but he threw it up and in. That's one of those elevated fastballs.
Russell Martin is running, and Syndergaard strikes out Urania. So the Blue Jays get a single. Syndergaard walks Martin, and the Jays strand the pair. Still no score here in New York.
Enter the code MBJ1992 to earn My Blue Jays points just for watching the broadcast. Your entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. Your code must be entered by 4 a.m. Bye.
Thank you very much, Hazel. And in case you're just joining us, we did experience a 26-minute rain delay for the start of this game. So we move to the bottom of the second. Noah Syndergaard, the starter for the Mets. Jaime Garcia for the Blue Jays, and we don't have a score yet. We have just 2 hits, each club with 1 single. That's been it so far. I said 26 minutes. It was an hour and 26 minutes.
It seemed longer than that.
Hour and 26 minutes.
It was coming down. Blue Jays were getting ready to take batting practice today, and the ground crew said, not so fast. The Mets finished up. They pulled the cage, threw the tarp on there, and then take it back off till about 8 o'clock tonight.
This is Devin Mesoraco. He was just acquired in a trade on May 8th for Matt Harvey, who was traded to Cincinnati. Mesoraco is a fine catcher when he's healthy, but he hasn't been healthy very much. Last time he played more than 100 games was 2014 for Cincinnati. That year he was an all-star.
Yes, with a ton of home runs, and they need some kind of production from their catchers. The Mets last in the National League in home runs from the catchers, 2. Also last in RBIs, 9. They've had 9 RBIs from their catchers. So Mesoraco, when he's healthy, and he's been battling some hip problems and a bunch of other assorted injuries, he can knock the ball out of the ballpark when he's healthy.
Well, the Mets lost 2 of their starting catchers. They lost Travis d'Arnaud, who we mentioned having Tommy John surgery, and then they lost Kevin Plawecki, their backup catcher, as well. I mean, they almost lost him on the same day. It's really hard to lose your 2 frontline catchers, and then they've been playing catch-up ever since. But Mesoraco was traded for Matt Harvey, and we talked about Island's comments about Syndergaard. I think Harvey's a perfect example of that. They overhyped him. He became the Dark Knight, if you will, here in New York, and never won more than 13 games. So then when they relegated him to the bullpen, he didn't handle that very well, and finally they had to trade him to Cincinnati. But Dave Island was talking about that. Give the kids a chance to develop. Syndergaard's 25 years old.
Yeah, and let them stay healthy. Noah was injured a lot last year. Matt Harvey missed a lot of time with some injuries. It took him a couple of years to get back after some injuries.
Mesoraco draws a leadoff walk. That's the second walk issued by Garcia so far.
5 of them in his last start against Seattle. That was tied his career high, 5 walks. And you're messing with fire when you're walking guys.
Just absolutely encourages the offense. This is Jose Reyes. Mentioned Reyes' career numbers against the Blue Jays. A .417 hitter, 10 for 24.
Tough to walk Jose. He's a free swinger.
He's now 34 years old. He spent 3 years with the Blue Jays, 13, 14, and 15. He has played 12 seasons with the Mets, including this season. His 16th year in the big leagues. High fly ball into shallow right field. Hernandez coming in. Now he's there, and Reyes has retired. This is a little wrinkle the Mets use in their lineup. Noah Syndergaard will bat, and he's hitting in the 8th spot. You've seen it from time to time. Tony La Russa is the first guy I remember putting his pitcher in the 8th spot.
Yeah, the whole idea is to get some more RBI opportunities when you flip that lineup back around. Here's something that's been interesting. Ground ball percentage. Jaime Garcia, 2015, 62% of the balls in play were on the ground. It's going down. He's becoming more of a fly ball pitcher. That's never a good thing. Did not give up a home run, though, in his last start against Seattle. 5 innings, no home runs. First time this season he hadn't given up a home run in a start. But
Noah Syndergaard, just 1 hit so far this season. 1 for 17.
Finish your point. I remember seeing that for the first time. The pitcher batting 8th, and it made no sense.
Syndergaard, that's a base hit down the right field line. He's headed for second, and they're going to wave the runner home. It's a bad relay. Not sure what happened. I couldn't see Hernandez down in the right field corner, but the ball came out, bounced a few times to Solarte, and Syndergaard picks up an RBI.
I don't know if that ball slipped or if he finished that point. After I read the explanation of why the batter became the 8th batter, the pitcher became the 8th batter, it made total sense to me. You get more RBI opportunities as you turn around the lineup. Here's what happened. He got his foot stuck underneath the wall. You see that? He went to throw the ball, and his momentum took the foot underneath the wall, got caught underneath the padding over there, so he had nothing on the throw.
So now you have the benefit of the pitcher hitting in the 8th spot at second base with 1 out. Ahmed Rosario, the young shortstop. Rosario batting .243 for the season. He goes after the first pitch, and they've got Syndergaard hung up, and Urania didn't see him. They had Syndergaard hung up off the bag at second. Solarte was there, but Urania was so focused on getting the out at first base, he didn't see that he had a shot at Syndergaard.
Yeah, and his teammate is telling him right now, hey, if you give me the ball, we get the pitcher in a rundown, and we wipe that guy out of scoring position. Syndergaard a little bit too excited to start moving up. His first movement, the ball's got to be to your left to advance. It was to his right, and Mets catch a break.
Yeah, they do. And then Solarte was right there on time, and Urania just focused on getting the out at first. He does that, but they still have a runner in scoring position. Brandon Nimmo, the left fielder, the strikeout victim his first time up. He struck out on a curveball against Garcia.
Not a lot of power, as you can see right there. So the outfield shallow in left, shallow in center, not too deep in right field. So base hits into the outfield is no guarantee that Syndergaard's going to score.
Two balls and no strikes, the leadoff man. That leadoff walk coming around to score. Two and one now. For Syndergaard, the RBI is his 11th career RBI. The double was his second double of the season. Both of his hits now 2 for 18. Both hits have been doubles.
I think American League clubs, when they come to National League parks to play interleague, they're at a disadvantage. The pitchers never hit. These guys can swing it just a little bit. They're used to it.
Fly ball. This is playable. Granderson backs up. Now he's coming in. And Nimmo's retired. Syndergaard stranded on base, but Noah Syndergaard, the Mets' big right-hander, drives in the first run of the game. His first RBI of the season, and New York has a 1-0 lead. Start. Last year you had injury issues and was out for most of the season, but when you see a healthy Noah Syndergaard, he's among the best in baseball in ERA.
Well, there's only among active starting pitchers with at least 60 starts, they have an ERA under 3. Kershaw's number 1, DeGrom's number 2, Noah Syndergaard is at 2.92. Chris Sale and Kyle Hendricks are the other 2 pitchers that have an ERA under 3 with at least 60 starts as active pitchers. pretty good company, I think, if you're Noah Syndergaard. The Mets, they're building that foundation of their pitching staff around DeGrom and Syndergaard. They thought they were going to be pretty good this year with Harvey and Matz and Wheeler, but it hasn't really turned out that way for them just yet.
When you really think about it, last year was the season where they thought everything was going to come together for them, and especially in New York, because Syndergaard was healthy, DeGrom was healthy, and then Syndergaard, after a terrific start to his season, tore a lat muscle at the end of April and wasn't activated until the 23rd of September, out for the all season.
Yep, pitched in 2 games after that, an inning and then another where he had 2 innings. So they changed their whole medical outlook, the Mets, this winter. So many freaky injuries to this team last year.
This is Jaime Garcia. Garcia can swing the bat a little bit. He has 3 career home runs. His first career home run came against the former Blue Jay, Sean Markham, in August of 2011 at Milwaukee. His last home run was his last home run as a Brave. He had a 3-run home run off Alex Wood at Dodger Stadium on July 21st, 2017. That was his last start, and then he was traded to the Minnesota Twins.
It's a nice looking swing.
He's a career 148 hitter with 3 home runs. Got 305 at bats. But it's not every day you face Noah Syndergaard. 2-2 pitch. Called strike 3. There's that down and away fastball that's been so effective for Syndergaard. The Pitch Tracker is brought to you by Coors Light, official beer of Major League Baseball. Back to the top of the order for the Blue Jays. It's Curtis Granderson. Granderson called out on strikes his first time up. Syndergaard struck out the side in the first. Granderson, Donaldson, and Smoke.
All fastballs. And Curtis knew something. He was swinging from the first pitch. Looked like he was taking all away that one.
There's a base hit. Granderson's aboard. A 1-out single for Granderson. That's the second Blue Jay single off Syndergaard.
Excited about getting a hit. You know you're going to get a fastball. And he got one from Syndergaard. Picked up his first hit against him.
Curtis now 4 for his last 25. So it's been a bit of a struggle for him lately. Josh Donaldson steps in. He was called out on strikes like Granderson in the first. The Blue Jays haven't hit so well on the road. Actually, they haven't hit so well at home. But they have a .221 batting average. That's 14th in the American League on the road. Only Cleveland has a lower batting average than the Blue Jays away from home.
Cleveland at home tonight. I think they're on the road in Detroit, and I believe they scored 4 runs in the first inning. They got 8 now on the road, so that's going to go up.
Ball and a strike to the Blue Jays third baseman. Inside. Boy, he's got natural run to that third base side of home plate. A lot of late movement. It's a high pop-up into the outfield. Second baseman Cabrera backing out into shallow right field. He makes the catch. 2 away. Justin Smoke struck out on a changeup his first time up, but it was a 92-mile-an-hour changeup. They continue to play Smoke to pull. Well, it's like that outside corner has a magnet on it, the way that he gets that fastball to the outside corner to these lefties.
Very rare when you find a guy who can throw that hard and have that type of command. They got those 4 infielders really in the pool area, but he still keeps popping that ball outside. It's like they might want to go inside this time. It's where Smokey can take one of those fastballs away and just shoot the ball to left field. He's got that whole side if he wants to.
Well, he's got power to the opposite field as well. He gets one that's up a little bit. He can drive it out of the ballpark. Smoke with 5 home runs. The Blue Jays have 6 players with 5 or more home runs. That ties him with Cleveland for the most players with 5 or more home runs. Two and one now. Top of the 3rd inning. The Mets have a 1-0 lead thanks to Noah Syndergaard's RBI double. Three and one.
Last 12 games, Justin's had a couple of home runs, so maybe he's ready to turn it around. Start hit for a little bit more power. Got up to 5 home runs and 22 RBIs. Look for something out over the plate.
There goes Granderson. Cut on and missed. No throw from Mesoraco, and the infielders have to hustle over toward 3rd, playing in that shift. For Granderson, his first stolen base of the season.
Definitely a game plan. When you're against Syndergaard, you can steal. That's now 10 out of 11 this year I've stolen against him.
Smoke with a runner in scoring position. It's a full count. Ground ball, base hit into center field. Mcguire has a strong arm. The throw is way offline as Granderson was stopped at 3rd. Boy, Mcguire really got to that ball quickly and got it back in, but it was a wild throw way up the line at 3rd.
When it left the bat, I'm like, okay, this game is going to be tied, but Mcguire, a very good outfielder, got onto it quickly. It's hit right to him, so he recognizes it, cuts down the distance, comes up throwing. And a great play by Mesoraco right there. There was nobody behind him backing up. So Granderson would have scored. He's thinking about scoring, but Louis Rivera holds him up. You can see Syndergaard come through your picture there. He was not backing up behind home plate, and a great play by Mesoraco just saved him a run.
You have to wonder whether or not that baseball was wet when Mcguire threw it. It's been raining here most of the evening. And that ball really took off on him, and Mesoraco did a heck of a job to save the run. Teoscar Hernandez had a single his first time up. Look out.
Sounded like it got him.
It hit him. And it didn't look like it hit him real flush, but he will go to first base. That'll load the bases as Hernandez is hit by a pitch. Smoke will go to 2nd, and that'll bring, and there was Solarte to the plate, and that'll bring Dave Island out of the Mets dugout.
Here's that fastball with some movement. I guess if you're going to get hit by a guy throwing 99 miles an hour, that's the way to get hit. Just brush that jersey as you back away.
It's important to remember Syndergaard was scheduled to start on Saturday in Philadelphia. In fact, he was warming up, getting ready for that game, and then the Phillies announced there would be a rain delay 12 minutes before the scheduled start of that game. Mets weren't too pleased about the late announcement. Here's Solarte taking all the way.
He also hasn't thrown in a game since the 6th. It's been 9 days in between starts. So he's going to be fresh.
He misses inside. It's 2-0.
You thought maybe he had that one there. Now 2-0 for Solarte, and he's had good numbers in his career with the bases loaded. He can look for that pitch down and away.
His grand slam was in Cleveland in game 1 of that doubleheader on the 3rd of May. Blue Jays have hit 4 grand slams so far this season. Ground ball up the middle. That ball is through. Granderson's in to score. Here comes smoke right behind him, and Solarte has given the Blue Jays the lead. 2-1. A 2-run RBI single up the middle.
There were 2 outs, and Granderson over at first base. That was after Josh Donaldson popped out. The stolen base seemed to ignite the Blue Jays. Smoke single. Hernandez said, I don't know if it did anything to Syndergaard. And now a seeing eye single softly through the infield is going to score 2. This all started after that stolen base by Granderson to get himself into scoring position.
And it changes the mindset of a hitter so much when you got a guy in scoring position, and the Blue Jays have cashed in here. 2 runs on 4 hits. They have the lead. Kevin Pilar.
Now he's aware that the Blue Jays are stealing, so maybe you split his concentration and he starts making mistakes to the batter.
That slider off the plate for ball 1. Pilar grounded out his first time up back in the 2nd. RBIs numbered 24 and 25 for Solarte. A 2-run 2-out single. Pilar way out in front of that pitch.
Kevin has been the Blue Jays' most consistent hitter this year, leading them in so many different categories. Doubles, hits, runs, multi-hit games. Right now, settle for a little single.
Pilar is on the leaderboard, leading in doubles with 17. He's in the top 10 with 8 stolen bases, 23 extra base hits. He's right in the middle of the pack in the top 10. Inside. Boy, Syndergaard, the way he started, looked like the Blue Jays didn't have a prayer tonight. He struck out the first 3 batters of the game, and it was no contest.
Yeah. Then they just settle in. We've seen that before from the Blue Jays in the first inning on the road. Go down quickly in the first inning and then make every at bat after that. The adjustment making it tough on the pitchers.
There's a fly ball to right. Jay Bruce backing up, waiting on it, and Pilar will be retired. But the Blue Jays score 2 runs on 3 hits. They take a 2-1 lead in Everest Solarte, a 2-run 2-out single up the middle. And the Blue Jays have taken the lead here in the middle of the 3rd.
between the OHL champion Hamilton Bulldogs as they visit the hosts, the WHL's Regina Pats. That's Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific time on Sportsnet and Sportsnet Now. But
thank you very much, Hazel. We have had a chance to run into a few Blue Jay fans around Manhattan. They came into town, took advantage of Monday, arrived early like the ball club, and had a good day yesterday. Yesterday was gorgeous in New York. Not the case today. Little thunderstorms, but we're good to go right now. Jaime Garcia pitching now with a 2-1 lead. It'll be 2, 3, and 4 in the Mets lineup. Juan Lagares, Asdrubal Cabrera, and Wilmer Flores. Boy, Blue Jays need to get on a roll. They have lost 8 of their last 12, and the starters are 0-8 with a 6.41 earned run average during those games.
I think that's where it starts, on the mound. John Gibbons has talked about that, about his starters. He says, I know how good they are. They just need to get on a roll and start feeding off of each other. They got a good chance here. The Mets have really been struggling in the month of May. They've had the worst record in the major leagues, and they've been outscored by almost 30 runs this month. So they've got an opportunity now, 2 games against the Mets, to start to get on a roll.
The off-speed pitch, the changeup gets Lagares. Second strikeout of the ball game for Garcia. 1 down here in the bottom of the 3rd. Well, the Blue Jays are fortunate in that they have 2 left-handers starting in this series, and Adrian Gonzalez, the first baseman, might not play again tomorrow, but you can see what Pat was talking about, the offense in May for the Mets. They're tied for 11th with just 11 home runs, last in RBIs, 11th in batting average, on base percentage well under 300. And offensively, they haven't mustered much. You mentioned they have scored 3 or fewer runs in 9 of their last 11.
Yeah, no Cespedes tonight, no Michael Conforto tonight, no Adrian Gonzalez tonight. 3 of the better hitters not in the lineup, so the Blue Jays got to take advantage of that. Teams, when they're down like that, you got to pound on them.
Blue Jays, as we mentioned earlier, have never won a game against the Mets here in New York. They are 0-9 at Citi Field, 0-2 at Shea. Mickey Callaway's team got off to a terrific start, but you can see their offense well below the National League average.
Started 11-1 this season. I mean, he was the toast of the town. Now they're questioning every move. Why did you leave the pitcher in to face this guy? The lineup snafu that they had in Cincinnati, batting out of order. People are questioning that. All I know is Mickey Callaway is a good baseball man. He knows the game in and out.
Cabrera chases that breaking ball. He strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts here in the 3rd for Garcia.
Take advantage of the hitters being a little bit over aggressive. He struck out Lagares on a changeup. That looked like his breaking ball.
Wilmer Flores, the first baseman. He walked his first time up. If Garcia can just throw strikes consistently, his stuff is so good that he should have a lot of success, but that has been a problem for him, getting that ball in the strike zone.
Consistently, hitting the glove consistently. There will be times where he looks unbeatable. His fastball's good, changeup, curve, and then There are other times where he's bouncing balls in the dirt, missing his spots.
Curveball is hooked down the left side, but that's going to be well foul out of play.
He's got the track record that suggests that he can win. Been in the major leagues a long time, and he's pitched for some pretty good teams.
He's had 4 seasons of double-digit wins. He was 13-8 in 2010, 13-7 in 11, and he was 10-6 in 2015. Now the curveball hit in the air. Pilar is right there, 3 up, 3 down, no problem for Jaime Garcia. In the bottom of the 3rd, we'll go to the 4th. Blue Jays have a 2-1 lead over the Mets and Noah Syndergaard.
For Junior Jays weekend presented by Boston Pizza. Then watch the Oakland Athletics take on your Toronto Blue Jays at 1:07 p.m. That's the start times for both days. Special price kids tickets in the 200 level outfield and 500 level. And after the ball game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Visit BlueJays.com for tickets.
The Oakland A's are starting to swing the bats a little bit. They have 2 big sluggers, Matt Chapman and Matt Olson, who are both big power hitters, and they're starting to heat up a bit. They'll be at Rogers Center.
Chris Davis is hitting a lot of home runs for the Oakland A's.
Russell Martin, he drew a walk his only time up. Ball on a strike to the Blue Jays catcher. Off the plate inside for ball 2. We mentioned Syndergaard was injured last season. He got off to a great start. He had 31 strikeouts and no walks to start the season. And then while pitching, injured a lat muscle. Bouncing ball. Big 2 hopper for Cabrera at second. Martin's return. 1 away.
The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. Hurry in to grab the Civic that matches your game.
Beautiful City Field here in New York. We are in Queens, one of the 5 boroughs of New York.
Looks a little bit like Ebbets Field, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was the object when they designed it, and it's basically in the parking lot of old Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium would be just behind us. I remember when we were here and you could see the construction going on beyond the stadium in right center. Richard Urania, the shortstop. He struck out his first time up. First time through the order, Syndergaard struck out 5.
5, and then Blue Jays have put together some pretty good at-bats since that second inning. They really worked him over last inning. Just be sure to be patient and let him come to you. Remember in spring training last year, Syndergaard was talking about, you know, I throw 100 miles an hour, but I think I can throw harder. Remember, he was throwing, just bringing it, and you're like, something's going to happen to this guy. He's going to get hurt, and he had that partial lat tear and missed basically the whole season.
Yeah, he went on the disabled list May 1st. He injured himself April 30th at Washington pitching against the Nationals. And then he was not activated until the 23rd of September. Missed the whole season. That's going to be into the seats, out of play. How would you characterize Syndergaard's delivery?
Clean, effortless. You can see why he is a big guy who throws hard and throws strikes. He stands tall on the mound. The best part about his delivery for me is how he gets the ball out of his glove right there and then gets his arm up as he's going home. I know the Blue Jays, when they signed him, he was young. He was a young player, and they really took care of him physically. They didn't overwork him as he started to grow into his body. He picked up miles per hour as he got bigger and stronger. But somewhere along the line, somebody worked with him, and his delivery is excellent. That's why I'm surprised that he had that arm problem last year. I think he was just trying to overthrow. Look at that, over the mound a long time. His momentum starts to go home, and he gets his arm up, and everything works together in unison.
That's a classic power pitcher's delivery for sure. He signed as a 17-year-old out of high school from Texas. And you're right, they did what they call piggybacking with a lot of their young starters back then. 2010, 11, and 12. One starter would start one game. Next time he would come in relief. They would piggyback. Sanchez and Syndergaard did that often.
They used two starters for every game, and they wouldn't overwork them, overuse them. Let them grow into their bodies physically. Throw your side sessions, learn the game, and they've done a good job. They did a really good job with the young players from that era of the Blue Jays. Unfortunately, the only one who's left is Aaron Sanchez.
Jaime Garcia, the pitcher, with the count in his favor, 2 balls and a strike. He was called out on strikes his first time up. One of 6 strikeouts recorded by Syndergaard.
The pitching coordinator for the Blue Jays back then, when those kids were down there, Dane Johnson, who is now the bullpen coach for the Blue Jays.
Well, unfortunately, there's no hard and fast formula for keeping pitchers healthy. I mean, you know, there's the old argument, well, don't pitch them much in the minors, but when are they going to learn how to pitch? But Dane Johnson has done a nice job with this team as well since he's been promoted to the bullpen position here with the Blue Jays.
He had all those young kids. Mcguire, who's now with the Blue Jays out in that bullpen. He was the pitching coordinator for him. And I'm with you about there's no hard and fast rule. I mean, if you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. I think it all begins with your delivery. If you have a sound and solid delivery, I think you're going to be okay. Remember the Mets pitchers back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s? It was drop and drive and take a lot of pressure off of your arm by using your muscles in your legs. Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan and Jerry Koosman and that whole bunch.
Sean Matlack was in there.
Yeah.
Hard throwing Danny Frisello. A lot of great arms, and they were all drop and drive guys like Seaver.
Yeah. Use your legs. Take the pressure off of your arm.
Full count now to the Blue Jays pitcher with 2 outs. Curtis Granderson singled and scored his last time up. He also picked up his first stolen base of the season. Garcia strikes out. 7 strikeouts for Syndergaard through 4 innings. But the Blue Jays have the lead 2-1. Jaime Garcia will face Jay Bruce when we come back to Citi Field.
Granderson told me it doesn't matter where each team is in the standings, first place, last place, or somewhere in the middle. Every Yankee or Mets player always took note of that series in their calendars because it's for bragging rights in the city. It may not get as much attention as, say, the Red Sox, Yankees, but Granderson says it's still as intense. Believe me, Buck, there are more battles in the stands than there are on the field. People do care about the Subway Series.
Yes, they do, and it's a great rivalry, and anybody that roots for one team is hard-pressed to root for the other team. You're either a Yankee fan or a Met fan. And you take a look at what Curtis Granderson did with his Mets time. 4 years with the Mets. He played 573 games, hit 95 home runs, including 39 right here in this ballpark.
He was asked before the game some of his best moments as a Met, and again he said beating the Cubs and getting to the World Series was the first one. The second one was anytime Bartolo Colon took the mound, especially when he was hitting. I mean, so those two together played here in New York. Said anytime Bartolo took the mound, that was a great day.
We mentioned, and Hazel mentioned, Curtis played 1,086 games with the Mets and the Yankees. The all-time leader in games played for both those franchises, none other than Yogi Berra. And you scratch your head and say, Yogi played for the Mets. He played a total of 4 games for the Mets in 1965. But he played 2,120 games for the Mets and Yankees. Willie Randolph was second, Darryl Strawberry, Carlos Beltran, and then Curtis Granderson. Here's Jay Bruce. He flied out to center field his first time up. Bottom of the 4th inning. Garcia has been under control so far in this game. Blue Jays shift on Bruce.
Flip that curveball in there for strike number 1. It'll get me over curveball against Jay Bruce. His changeup has been good. He's got the Mets swinging at some of those pitches just off the plate.
Jay Bruce is now 31 years old. This is his 11th big league season. He comes out of Texas, Beaumont, Texas. Fly ball. Long run for Granderson. He's still coming. He's going to play it on a bounce. And it'll bounce out of play. So Bruce ends up at second with a ground rule double. Little fly ball that hit on the warning track and bounced into the seats out of play. His 8th double of the season. A leadoff double here in the 4th. Let's check in with Jamie Campbell. How about that? His mother just passed away and he was away from the team. He comes back and hits a home run. That has to be an emotional moment for him as well.
I have ALS. See, the Yankees donated $10,000 when Oakland was in town to the ALS Foundation in his mother's name. Classy.
Devin Mesoraco, the catcher. He drew a walk and scored the Mets run back in the second. Baseball has always had a very strong tie with that disease, ALS. Lou Gehrig, of course, died of ALS, and baseball has always had a group called 65 Roses that raises a lot of money and raises awareness for that terrible disease. Change up for a strike. It's a ball and a strike on the Mets catcher. Mesoraco, this is a real challenge for any catcher to be traded mid-season and try to come in and learn a pitching staff. I don't care how good you are or how long you've been in the league. Boy, you start catching guys like DeGrom and Syndergaard and Wheeler mid-season without any experience. It's a challenge.
I guess it helps that he's faced them before as a hitter. But you're right. It's a little bit like when Luke Maile was traded over to the Blue Jays last year. Luke had to get a crash course on what the pitchers will throw in certain situations. But they needed to do something, the Mets. They needed an everyday catcher.
Yeah, they lost two of their catchers to injury. Mesoraco fights it off and fouls it down the right side. But there's so many things that go into catching a pitching staff. You just got to learn what they throw. Second, you got to learn their personality, what they're comfortable doing, what they're not comfortable doing. And you have to do this during a major league season. I was traded in the middle of the '81 season to the Blue Jays. It had Steve and Clancy and Leal and Gott and all those hard throwers. It was a real tough time.
Did it help that you had faced them before?
Not so much. I don't think so. I had an idea what they threw, but until you see the break and all that stuff.
You had an idea what the Steve had the great slider. Okay.
2-2 pitch in the dirt. But we've talked to Luke Maile about this last year and how much more comfortable he is this year after spending an entire spring with his pitching staff. Really got to know them well.
And it takes time. It just takes time being around the guys every day, talking about it. You can bet they're talking about the game right there.
And you have to gain the trust of the pitchers. So when you put a pitch down, they know that you've worked on it, you've thought about it, you put in a lot of time studying the hitters, and that's the right pitch to throw at that time. Mesoraco walks for a second time. That's 3 walks in the ball game now. Nobody out. Remember, Reyes is batting 7th, but the pitcher is batting 8th. So if you're thinking about possibly a bunt or something like that in this situation, it's probably not going to happen. But the Blue Jays are in at the corners just in case.
I'm shocked that they're in. Reyes is a veteran hitter, has been in this situation before.
Goes off the end of the bat, and that's going to drop for a hit. Bruce had to hold up to make sure it was down safely. He advances to third. Mesoraco's into second, and Reyes goes after the first pitch and singles.
Yeah, everybody was in, but you're not going to bunt guys into scoring position to face the pitcher. So they let him swing away, and he bloops the ball into center field. He was actually jammed. No chance for anyone to make that catch. It was hit softly. Bruce had to hold up like you were saying, so now Jaime Garcia's got to really pitch out of a jam.
Syndergaard had an RBI double his first time up. It was the first pitcher to record an RBI against the Blue Jays since Matt Harvey drove in a run on June 16th, 2015. That also was by the Mets pitcher. Nobody out. Jake Petrichka first up for the Blue Jays. Double walk single for the Mets here in the fourth. You need to get the pitcher out and then hope for a double play. Maybe you can get out of it without allowing a run.
Yeah, look for a strikeout or a pop-up, something like that. Maybe even a comebacker to the mound. You can go 1, 2, 3 double play.
High fly ball. Pilar setting up, tagging at third is Bruce. Pilar's throw will go to third as Bruce comes in to score. Syndergaard. 2 RBIs tonight as Bruce comes in to score the tying run. It's a 2-2 game.
Well, that's how you help yourself if you're Noah Syndergaard. Pitch a good game and he's driven in 2 runs. Got a pitch to his liking out in front. Pilar set up like he was going to try and go home with that ball and then thought better of it.
So it's a 2-2 game. Mesoraco stays put at second. Reyes is at first for the number 9 hitter, Ahmed Rosario. Ahmed Rosario, the young shortstop, grounded out to short his first time up. He goes after the first pitch. Well, we had mentioned the Mets have had trouble scoring runs, and Noah Syndergaard said, you know what, I'll take care of this. He has an RBI double and a sacrifice fly. He's driven in both Mets runs.
Time to get that ground ball. Garcia, we showed that earlier, that his ground ball percentage has been going down the last few years. He needs to figure out why and throw one here.
Inside. 2-1 now.
He's done a good job with his changeup. That looked like another changeup right there. He's had the Mets out in front.
Fly ball, deep right center. Pilar's on the run, and he's not going to get it. Off the top of the wall, it stays in the ballpark. Mesoraco's in to score. Reyes holds at third. And Ahmed Rosario has given the Mets the lead. That ball hit right on top of the fence and stayed in the ballpark.
That's why Mesoraco couldn't take off. He had to make sure Pilar wasn't going to catch up with that one. The umpires are getting together on the third base line to talk about this. Rosario hits that ball a long way to right field. Where did it hit? Yeah, right off top of the wall and somehow stayed into the ballpark.
No question about it.
Yeah.
It's in the ballpark, a ball in play, but the umpires are going to look at the video review. But it will be an RBI double for Rosario, his 8th double, give him 11 ribbies for the season, and the Mets have the lead.
That has to go over that wall. From that replay, right off the top, the front, and then bounces back into play. Look at that. A couple of more inches, and it bounces off the wall and over for a 3-run home run. Blue Jays catch a break by that ball staying in play.
Boy, so far tonight, it's a stroke of genius to having a pitcher hit 8. So Milwaukee The home plate umpire confirms the call on the field. So now Pete Walker, the pitching coach, will come out and have a chat with Jaime Garcia.
Pete was on his way out there when the umpires met, so he had to go back. Now he wants to talk about it.
Still just one out. And there are runners at second and third. Blue Jays infield will have to come in and play halfway at least.
I know the corners. It looks like the corners are going to come in against Nimmo. But the middle of the diamond is back.
Nimmo is 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Popped him up. Donaldson, the third baseman, coming down from third, makes the catch. Nimmo's retired on one pitch. Well, that's a big out. Yeah, second and third, one out. You hope to get out of the situation, and Nimmo helped him out after that first pitch.
Now leave it there. If you're a Met fan, you're thinking of driving in 2 runs, at least one on a ground ball, but Garcia did a good job popping it up, keeping it in the infield. Now save those other 2 runs out there. That could have been disastrous if that ball went over the fence. Blue Jays caught a break. It stayed in. Now they're one batter away from stranding those 2 runners.
Juan Mcguire, the center fielder, he has a single. He picked up a stolen base. Been kind of a long inning for Jaime Garcia. This will be his 20th pitch of this inning. Ground ball, base hit. Reyes is in to score. Rosario is coming home. Here's the throw from Granderson. They'll cut it off, and not in time. It is in time. At second base, Tony Rendazzo, the second base umpire, calls Lagares out at second. The Mets are going to have a look at it, but nonetheless, the Mets score 2 more runs on the Lagares single, and here's the play at second.
Oh, they're going to take a look at that one, I have a feeling. Yeah, they're going to look at this one. Still not on there. Now he's on. There's the tag. They're going to overturn that one. It looked like Josh had a little trouble getting that ball out of his glove. He was going to cut it, let the run score, and say, okay, we're going to stop the damage right there. But when he spun to throw to second base, had a little trouble. He had to double clutch for a second, and that allowed that runner. It looks like he might be safe.
You're right. Donaldson had a little bit of trouble coming out of his glove cleanly. He had the right idea. They were going to score the second run easily. And now the crowd reacting to this video on the video board, and the umpires look like they have their decision. And indeed, they overturned the call on the field, and Lagares is safe at second. So John Gibbons has made a call to the bullpen. So the Mets have a big 4-run inning here in the 4th. They score 4 runs on 4 hits off Jaime Garcia. And they've taken a 5-2 lead, and that'll be the end of the night for Garcia. Jake Petrichka will come out of the bullpen and face Estrubal Cabrera, who's got to go back and get his left-handed batting helmet. Petrichka into the ball game. The Blue Jays are down by 3. He takes over for Jaime Garcia. This will be his 5th appearance since joining the Blue Jays.
He has stranded every runner that he has inherited, 7 in total in his 4 games for the Blue Jays. No record for 15th earned run average. Last time out against Boston, did not record an out, gave up a couple of hits, but they did not come around to score. He's got a runner in scoring position that he needs to leave out there.
Asdrubal Cabrera, the second baseman, bats left-handed for the first time and takes the first pitch strike. Cabrera's 0 for 2. Petrichka quickly ahead, 0-2.
A little bit different strategy here in the National League. You always got to be aware of where that pitcher spot is. Jaime Garcia made the last out of last inning. So Jake Petrichka, you need a guy who can get a couple of innings before that spot in the lineup comes back around where John Gibbons can pinch hit for. So it's not just, hey, I'm throwing 1 inning and then I'm out. You have to pitch until your spot comes up again to hit.
Garcia struck out to end the top half of the 4th inning, so it's 9 spots away.
So it's, you know, imperative that you get multiple innings. If your batting order could take you 3 innings before your spot comes up.
That ball's going to get down. Going to go all the way to the wall. Lagares is in to score as Asdrubal Cabrera has made it 6-2 Mets.
Been swinging a hot bat. That'll be his 24th RBI of the season. He came into this game batting right around 330. 2 strikes. It's a high pitch. The ball was up. Looked like Russell Martin had ideas of maybe trying to pick that runner off at second base, who was getting a very aggressive lead, but that pitch was too nice for Cabrera to turn down.
13th double of the season for the Mets second baseman. Wilmer Flores is the 9th Met to bat here in the 4th. Had a bat around inning. Ball on the strike now. Slider in there for strike 1. Flores has walked and flied out. The looper into left field. Granderson coming in quickly. He'll get there and make the catch. But the Mets score 5 runs on 5 hits. They leave a base runner and they've taken a commanding 6-2 lead as we head to the 5th. Now time for a Blue Jays Central Update. Here's Jamie Campbell with Joe Siddall from the Samsung Broadcast Studio.
50,000 fans will receive this Let's Go Blue Jays bath towel presented by Boston Pizza. Then watch your Toronto Blue Jays host the Oakland Athletics at 1:07 p.m. Eastern. For tickets, visit bluejays.com.
Top of the 5th inning. The Blue Jays trail 6-2 against Noah Syndergaard. Syndergaard has driven in 2 of those 6 runs. The Mets had a 5-run inning in the bottom of the 4th and knocked Jaime Garcia out of the ballgame.
Here's the way baseball is sometimes. At the beginning of this game, in all of baseball, the Miami Marlins had the fewest extra base hits. Then it was the New York Mets with just 98 extra base hits. They've had a few tonight. Syndergaard has a double. They had 3 doubles last inning. They've had 4 extra base hits in 4 innings, and they came in with the 2nd fewest in all of baseball.
That's why you never really know. You can't look at records. Every game is different, and certainly when you have a pitcher like Syndergaard on the mound, you know you're in for a tough night. But they're major league players. I don't care what the season averages might suggest, but on any given night, they can all bust out and have a good night. The Mets have scored 6 runs on 7 hits, and you're right, 4 of those were extra base
hits. Something that had been lacking for this team offensively. Now Syndergaard has the lead.
Another good fastball. He's just got that natural run to the arm side. That fastball takes off away from the left-handed hitters, and it's so difficult. Not only is it hard, but it's got a lot of movement.
And he can put it inside or out. Coming back in again.
Might have been a slider in the dirt. Josh Donaldson waiting on deck. Granderson taps it to the first baseman, Flores, who steps on the bag. 1 away.
The Lawn and Garden event is on now until May 15th, only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Here's how.
We are at Citi Field, the first game of a 2-game series here against the Mets. Tomorrow will be an afternoon game. Jay Happ and Zach Wheeler, the scheduled pitchers. Game time is 1:10 local time. The pregame show starts at 12:30, so make sure you check that out. Josh Donaldson, a strikeout and a pop-out. Fastball away. Syndergaard has now thrown 91 pitches with no outs in the 5th. And yeah, the strikeouts, excuse me, 1 out in the 5th, but the strikeouts, yeah, they'll elevate your pitch count, but that's a lot of pitches.
That's a lot of pitches.
4 1/3.
We've seen that a lot lately. 100 pitches. If you're on that 100 pitches, it only lasts you 5 innings.
Syndergaard's season high in pitches is 103. He did that against the Braves down in Atlanta. Donaldson rips it into left field, and that's going to get past Nemo all the way to the wall for Donaldson. That'll be another double, his 7th double of the season. It comes with 1 out here in the 5th.
You fall behind, you've got the lead, you got to come in there. You can't start walking anybody, and he comes in with that fastball. JD's waiting for it. Watch how he times up that one. That ball is blistered by the shortstop. Rosario can't even move, and it's by him all the way to the wall for extra bases.
You know, that ball really skipped on the wet turf. It took off, and that's where they dumped the tarp when they took the tarp off the field, and all that water got settled in that part of the outfield. That ball really skipped. I don't think Donaldson expected it to go all the way to the wall.
Yeah, he came out of the batter's box not running hard. Then when he saw it hit, turned it into a double.
Justin Smoke, he is 1 for 2.
That hit last time for Smokey, his first career hit against the Mets. It's got to give him some satisfaction.
Blue Jays, they've scored 2 runs on 5 hits, and so far tonight with runners in scoring position, they've gone 2 for 5. Solarte had a 2-run single in the 3rd. Off the plate to Smoke.
Smoke's hit came with a runner in scoring position as Sept Lugo starts to loosen up, getting close to that 100 pitch barrier.
There's something that's got to give in this game, because you cannot have star pitchers like Syndergaard out of the game after 5 innings. And I don't know if it's the fact that they have so much information and they're so guarded in their attack to hitters, saying, well, if I throw it here, he's going to hit it. If I throw it there, he's going to hit it. You know what? It's hard to hit. Throw it over the middle. Maybe they hit it at somebody.
Yeah, that's happened before. It's just too good to be having 100 pitches in 5 innings.
Dave Allen again out of the Mets dugout. The pitching coach will come out and have a mound visit here. I mean, there's 1 out in the 5th inning. Syndergaard has a 4-run lead, and he's just about out of the game. He's thrown 99 pitches. His season high is 103. And certainly they're not going to push him much past that, given his injury history from a year ago.
Well, he would like to get 5 innings so he could qualify for the win.
Donaldson hit a double. He's still at second. Smoke walked. So Smoke's been on base twice. Teoscar Hernandez has been on base twice with a single, and he got hit by a pitch. He went too far, trying to check his swing on that high fastball. It's 1-1 to Hernandez. Teoscar now hitting .267. His OPS stands at .857. His extra base hits have really pumped up that number.
Yeah, anything over 800 is outstanding. Singled his first time up, 2-strike approach.
His single came on a 1-2 pitch from Syndergaard. And then he was hit by a pitch, just brushed his jersey in the 3rd. Part of that 2-run inning.
Brooke Jacoby going over all the scattering reports for Sept Lugo to let his hitters know what to expect.
Ground ball right to the shortstop. Rosario to second for 1, back to first, and Syndergaard gets through 5 innings, but it was a real struggle. He's thrown 102 pitches through 5 innings, but he's out of the 5th with the lead. 6-2 New York.
of the Western Conference Finals. Game 2 tomorrow, goes Wednesday at 9 Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And Buck, after Sunday's loss to the Red Sox, we heard the Blue Jays option outfielder Anthony Alford after just 12 at-bats. Today, they made the corresponding move, recalling outfielder Dwight Smith Jr. from AAA Buffalo. Back to you.
Dwight Smith Jr. is here in the ballpark. He's the left-handed hitting outfielder. Jay Bruce facing Jake Petrichka goes after the first pitch. You look around baseball, there are a lot of interesting things going on. How about the Cincinnati Reds and the Detroit Tigers? How they have turned things around most recently. Tigers have won 2 in a row, and they've come back to take the lead against the Indians tonight.
They're up 9-8 over the Indians late. Indians were ahead in that game 8-4 late. Yeah, how about the Reds? They go out west.
Richard Urania bounces it to Smoke. No problem for the big first baseman. He digs it out. Bruce is retired, 6-3 on the ground out.
The Reds go out west and sweep the Dodgers in a 4-game series. That hasn't happened out there since 1976. Big Red Machine, last team to do that. That ball in the dirt, that's an easy pick for Smokey. He does that with regularity.
Yeah, he's very good at that. Certainly helps out his middle infielders. The Dodgers got a piece of good news today. They got Justin Turner back. He fractured his hand in the spring, and now he's back playing. Here's Devin Mesoraco. He's walked and scored both times he's come up tonight.
Didn't help him tonight, as you can see the updates. The Dodgers lose again. Wow.
The Athletics have a lead 3-2 over the Red Sox at Fenway, bottom of the 5th. And they will be at Rogers Center starting Thursday night. One and 2 to Devin Mesoraco. There's a base hit up the middle. Mesoraco's had a perfect start to his night. 2 walks and a single.
Told you they needed some production from their catchers. They had started this game with just 19 hits by their catchers this season. That's their 20th. Fastball down and away, and he goes down and gets it. Softly hits it in the center field. He's been on base 3 times.
Reyes goes after another first pitch and hits a lazy fly ball to center. Pilar makes the catch. 2 away. So Adrian Gonzalez, who did not start in this game, will pinch hit for the pitcher Noah Syndergaard, who is out after 5 innings. So Gonzalez, in his first season here with the Mets, will get a pinch hitting opportunity. Adrian batting .250 for the season with 5 homers and 20 RBIs. As a pinch hitter, he's perfect 2 for 2.
After what we saw in the first inning from Syndergaard, you think at that time he'd only throw 5 innings?
No. Thought he might strike out 18.
Yeah, he was dealing. Struck out the side in the first inning. Blue Jays did a good job of working him over, getting that pitch count up, and now he's out after 5.
Adrian Gonzalez now 36 years old. They just turned 36 earlier this month. Been a terrific hitter for a long time. A 5-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, 2-time Silver Slugger. Originally drafted by the Marlins. Everybody kind of forgets that.
Wasn't he first overall?
1-1, yes. 2000 out of Eastlake High School in Chula Vista, California. Big swing. He has played with Texas, San Diego, Boston, the Dodgers, and now the Mets.
Got a few Gold Gloves on his trophy case.
4-time Gold Glover. He was actually traded last December from the Dodgers to Atlanta, and then Atlanta released him. That was the deal with Matt Kemp, and Kemp went to the Dodgers, and nobody expected Kemp to do well, but he got off to a good start.
Yeah, he made the team in spring training, got off to a good start. That really helped the Dodgers to get underneath the salary cap, if you will, so they wouldn't get taxed.
1-2. There's another base hit for Gonzalez as a pinch hitter. Mesoraco is around second. He heads to third. Adrian Gonzalez is 3 for 3 as a pinch hitter this season.
How many times have we seen that from Gonzalez? That sweet swing, dropping the barrel of the bat on that baseball. It's a breaking ball from Petrichka. And able to get Gonzalez the barrel out in front. That's just picture perfect swing.
The number 9 hitter is Ahmed Rosario. He goes after the first pitch and pulls it foul. For Gonzalez, that base hit, career hit number 2,035. Good scoop by Martin. Rosario had an RBI double back in that 5-run 4th inning. Jake Petrichka came into the ball game in that 4th inning and gave up an RBI double to Cabrera, and then got Flores to end the inning. There's a base hit up the middle. Mesoraco will jog home, as the Mets are now 5 for 10 hitting with runners in scoring position tonight. Bottom of the order has done a number on the Jays.
Yeah, they came in here really struggling offensively to score runs, averaging under 3 runs a game in the last week or so. Got their hitting shoes on again today. This is a clutch 2-out base hit. Scores another run. They've put up 7 runs now in 5 innings.
7 runs on 10 hits. Back to the top of the order, Brandon Nimmo, 0 for 3. 2 away. Gonzalez at second, Rosario at first, and Nimmo checks his swing. Mcguire loosening up in the Blue Jays bullpen. The Blue Jays in danger of falling to 500. Came into this game 21-20. Foul just wide of first. Both of these teams came into this series struggling. The Mets coming in had lost 16 of 23, and the Blue Jays have lost 8 of their last 12. And again, the Blue Jays starters have really had a tough stretch. Their starters over those last 12 games 0-8 with a 641 earned run average.
And just not giving them any length getting deep into the ball game. So the Blue Jays have had to go to their bullpen early and often.
There's another base hit. Gonzalez is around third. Pilar bobbles it. Nimmo is headed for second. He'll get there standing up. So Gonzalez comes in to score on the base hit by Nimmo. Rosario goes to third. And it's an 8-2 ball game. So Nimmo has his first hit of the night, an RBI single. Give him 4 RBIs for the season.
John Gibbons had gone up to that top step. Looks like he might have changed his mind after Russell went out to talk to his pitcher. I believe that was a hit, Buck, and an error. allow the runners to get to third and second base.
Yeah, Pilar bobbling the ball in the outfield. It'll be his second error of the season. First error for the Blue Jays tonight.
He has a shot to get the runner, but you can see we've talked about the wet turf. It really hit and just took off on him. Handcuffed him, so he'll be charged with his second error.
The error allowed the batter runner to get into second base. Juan Lagares has 2 hits tonight. He's 2 for 3, drove in 2 runs in the 4th inning. Both of his hits are singles. The Mets were out working very early this afternoon. They took a lot of ground balls. They took basically what was a modern day infield, if you will. All the infielders are out at their respective positions fielding ground balls and playing at a game speed. Then they had batting practice. They also had a simulated game earlier. Little chopper toward Donaldson off the bare hand, throws in one motion, not in time. Mcguire has his 3rd hit. Rosario comes in to score. And it's another 3-run inning here in the 5th. It's 9-2, and that's going to be it. As the Blue Jays are going to make a double switch. Givens will go to the home plate umpire, Bill Welke, and they're going to make a move. The right fielder, Teoscar Hernandez, who was the last batter in the 5th, he will be out of the game. So the pitcher will hit in his spot, and Smith will hit in the pitcher's spot. So Petrichka out of the ball game as the Mets have put up another crooked number here in the 5th. Deck Mcguire will pitch for the first time since coming back to the Blue Jays. And Deck Mcguire was the first Blue Jay picked in that first round. He was 11th overall, picked ahead of Sanchez, Syndergaard, and Wojciechowski. So he gets his Blue Jays debut here tonight.
Yeah, it took him a while, a roundabout way to get here. He spent some time with the Cincinnati Reds last season. Took him a while to develop down in the farm system, but he's been a starter his whole life. There are his 5 starts in Buffalo. The double switch, Dwight Smith will take over in right field for the Blue Jays. Teoscar Hernandez out of the ball game. But Mcguire's been a starter his whole life. He's got all 4 of the pitches. He says he's really grown understanding himself just a little bit more. What he can do, what he can't do. That's what he attributes his success to, being able to make pitches.
High fly ball. This should end the inning. Cabrera hits a high fly ball to Pilar, and it does end the inning. Mcguire comes in and gets the batter to close out the Mets in the 5th, but New York has a 9-2 lead as we head to the top of the 6th. Authority of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. Nice piece of hot pizza. Sounds pretty good right now, doesn't it, Pat?
It sounds good, but it's almost 11 o'clock. That wouldn't be a good idea.
New pitcher for the Mets is the right-hander Sept Lugo. He takes over after Syndergaard goes 5.
Lugo was a starter in the minor leagues for the Mets out of Centenary College in 2011. Mets 34th round draft pick. He was a starter, so he can give you multiple innings. Nothing real fancy, just fastball, curveball, slider, change, throws lots of strikes. He's only walked 8 batters this season.
He's a 34th round pick by the Mets in 2011. He was the only player from that round to make it to the majors. And boy, I tell you what, you get picked in the 30s, your chances of making the big leagues are pretty slim, but he made it. This is his 3rd season with the Mets. Solarte hits it on the ground. Cabrera is there. 1 up, 1 down for Lugo.
You get drafted in the 34th round and you get to AAA, you're doing something. This guy's now been in the big leagues for the Mets. He got the first taste of the big leagues back in 2016. I love that. I love those kind of stories of guys who were drafted late. Here's one standing at the plate, Kevin Pilar. The perseverance and the mental toughness. I mean, nobody's going to hand you a job.
No.
If you're in the 30s.
Well, no. I mean, those guys signed for $1,000, and there are big draft choices that have gotten big investments from their ball clubs, and they're always going to get preference. You sign in those rounds, you're happy to have an opportunity to play professional baseball.
And you're basically filling out rosters, just filling out rookie ball rosters or low A ball rosters so the prospects can play. They need full teams to play. But then you start doing well, playing, getting outs if you're Sept Lugo. You start moving up the ladder. You become smarter. You have to persevere because nobody's going to hand you anything.
No, and nobody has a big investment in you, so you have to earn everything yourself. 1-2 to Pilar. Goes after that high fastball and strikes out. 2 away.
The 2018 Civic Type R, like no Honda you've ever seen.
You can take the 7 train from Grand Central Station and come right here to Citi Field. It's the easy way to get around in the 5 boroughs. Go to Yankee Stadium, you hop on the 4 train. Russell Martin goes after the first pitch. Russell has walked and grounded out. Blue Jays have scored 2 runs on 5 hits. Mets 9 runs on 12 hits. Sept Lugo, you might remember his name from the WBC. He was the starting pitcher for Puerto Rico in the championship game against Team USA and Marcus Stroman. Lugo grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana. Last year with the Mets, he made 18 starts, appeared in 19 games, and went 7-5.
You need these kind of guys, especially now if starters are only going to go 5 innings or 2 times through the lineup. You need guys who can give you multiple innings out of the bullpen, and they're going to give you success.
Martin couldn't believe that's a call strike 3, but Lugo has a quick inning. 3 up, 3 down with a couple of strikeouts. Bill Welke calls out Russ Martin. Go to the bottom of the 6th. It's all Mets. Mcguire back for another inning.
Experience to catch every moment this season. Download MLB At Bat today. Buck, a few injury updates coming your way. Marcus Stroman, who is dealing with that shoulder issue, is still in rest period, we're told. He's expected in Dunedin Thursday this week. And Steve Pearce, who is rehabbing that oblique, is progressing, but he is still not ready for baseball activities just yet. Buck?
That's unfortunate. 2 of their key players are out and no time frame for their return, of course. And John Gibbons said that, you know what, Steve Pearce isn't close yet. So, and Marcus Stroman is still dealing with that shoulder fatigue. Bottom of the 6th, the Mets have scored 9 runs tonight against the Blue Jays. In their previous 4 games, they've combined to score 8 runs. They just haven't been doing much lately. Mcguire delivers a strike.
I'm anxious to see Deck throw. I had a chance to visit with him the other day, and he said, you know, I just want to thank all the coaches who stuck with me in the minor leagues. There's a good curveball. He said especially Dane Johnson, again, who was the pitching coordinator, and those guys believed in me, and you just want to pay them back, you know, when you get to the big leagues, and show them that they were right. Good curveball.
Good curveball as Flores strikes out. So Mcguire has retired the first 2 batters he's faced in this game. Got the last out of the 5th. Gets the first out here in the 6th.
So I asked him, I said, well, what has changed over the last couple of years? because it seemed like you were stuck in Double-A and just couldn't get to that next level. He said, you know what, I started believing in myself and I started understanding myself, what works for me, how I can succeed, and start to throw strikes. I was giving hitters way too much credit.
Urania, the shortstop, takes the pop-up off the bat of Jay Bruce. Isn't that the truth? We see it all the time, and we've seen it tonight. Noah Syndergaard threw 5 innings, threw 103 pitches. And he throws 100. Throw it over. Give yourself a chance. The longer you stay out there, the better chance you have of winning. And if you stay out there 6, 7, 8 innings, God forbid 9, chances are you might win.
It's pitching. It's being able to throw your breaking ball over when you're behind in counts. Understand what the hitters are trying to do to you and then find their weaknesses, attack it. He says, I'll go upstairs with a fastball every now and then, and I'll go down with my breaking ball. It's a pitcher who finally figured out what he can and can't do in professional baseball.
And it takes a while. That's what Dave Island was talking about with Syndergaard. And we saw it again tonight. Just because you throw 100 doesn't mean you're going to be Tom Seaver. Pitching is hard. I think it's the hardest thing on the baseball field.
For sure. Starting pitching. Pitching to Devin Mesoraco has been hard today. He's ahead 3-0. He's walked twice and he's singled already tonight. He's on again.
Mesoraco and Mcguire were teammates with Cincinnati. So Mesoraco, 3 walks and a single tonight. He's had a perfect night at the plate. A 2-out walk here in the 6th. Jose Reyes. He's 1 for 3. Scored a run in the 4th inning. Had a single up the middle. Ball and a strike. One curveball in there for strike 2. Another curveball. This one's ripped foul by Reyes. Jose Reyes has become the super utility player for the Mets, playing all over the diamond. He is starting at third base tonight. 3rd time he started at third. He's made 4 starts at short, 1 at second.
Good high pitch. How much does pressure play on a first-round draft pick to a pitcher?
I think it plays on him a lot.
I think if you let it, it can really mess with your mind. Say, hey, I was a #1 pick. I need to go right to the big leagues. But when that doesn't happen, there's a good pitch.
Good fastball by Mcguire. He gives up a 2-out walk and nothing more. A couple of strikeouts in an inning and a 3rd for Mcguire. He uses that high fastball. You can see he was upset at himself for the 2-out walk, but he punches out Reyes with a high heater. And we'll go to the 7th.
Start your night with the Blue Jays on Thursday, May 17th. The first 15,000 fans in attendance receive a Curtis Granderson t-shirt. Join us pregame in the WestJet flight deck for live music and entertainment. Check out BlueJays.com for tickets. Buck.
Thank you very much. And Thursday night in the 6, always a popular night. And Curtis Granderson t-shirt will be given away. Sept Lugo in his second inning of work. He retired to side an order in the 6th. Richard Urania, the pitcher spot, and then top of the order. Another breaking ball. 0-2. You mentioned that Lugo had been a starter in the past, and he's a very valuable guy to have in that pen. Obviously, you need another starter. You can go down to him. But he's a multi-inning guy out of the bullpen for sure.
He throws strikes. I mean, that's the important thing. You throw quality strikes. You work quickly. You're going to get outs. I like his curveball. It's the first time that I've had a chance to watch him up close and see that curveball. It's nice.
Fastball is popped up. Rosario backpedaling into the outfield. He gives way to the left fielder, Nimmo, who makes the catch. The Rangers retired, one away. Dwight Smith Jr. is now the batter. He was in part of that double switch when Garcia came out of the game.
Starter gives you 5 innings and he can't get through that 5th inning. You bring your bullpen in, and instead of using 3 or 4 pitchers to finish it off, you could run Sept Lugo out there and let him finish the ball game. Save your bullpen for tomorrow. Set up guys and your lefty specialists and your closers.
Yeah, it's a big part of the National League strategy, trying to set up your bullpen the right way.
He was on deck to hit if it got to it, so he'll hit, I'm sure. Leading off next inning, you just keep running them out there.
Dwight Smith Jr. takes it down. It's 2 balls and a strike. Dwight's 25 years old. He was a first-round pick in 2011. 53rd pick in that first round. He had a cup of coffee with the Blue Jays a little earlier this season. It's 2 for 4. He had a pair of doubles in his time with the Blue Jays. AAA Buffalo, he appeared in 24 games at .278 over those 24 games with 2 home runs and 15 ribbies.
Yeah, a nice on base percentage when he was down in Buffalo.
.380.
That's going to be his job, I think, as he gets to the big leagues. Work the count, get on base. Might not hit for a lot of power, but it looks like he's got a nice stroke.
Another breaking ball from Lugo and another strikeout. It's 3 strikeouts since he's come into the game, and he's retired all 5 batters he's faced.
Curtis Granderson's going to be the next hitter as you see that curveball again from Lugo. Messes up the timing, but Granderson was asked, you know, post-career, what do you see yourself doing? And he said, first of all, I want to make this very clear. He says, I've played way longer than I ever imagined I was going to play. It's been a very successful big league player. He says, I want to grow my foundation. I want to help players, college players, pro players. And he says, I want to continue my education, further my education. He said, I was enrolled in masters and then I didn't like what I was doing, so I got out of that, but I'm going to further my education. Someone asked him, do you want to get into politics? And he said, you know, if it gives me opportunities to further what I want to do, I'll do politics as well.
Whatever he chooses to do, you can bet he's going to be successful. Sept Lugo, another strikeout, 2 perfect innings for Lugo. When it leads off, it leads for good.
Noah Syndergaard has been pitching pretty good baseball, but he just hasn't been getting any runs to work with, so he says, I'm going to do it myself. With a runner on base, after a walk to Mesoraco, Noah Syndergaard's going to plate him with the game's first run, a double down the right field line. That is tonight's drive of the game. He had only given up 9 earned runs over his last 5 starts, but hadn't won a game since back in April because they hadn't scored him any runs. So he took care of that all by himself.
Sept Lugo batting here in the 7th inning. And Mcguire strikes him out. Mcguire has been sharp since he came into the game.
Hard overhand curveball. His parents had come up from Richmond, Virginia to see his Blue Jays debut on Sunday, but he didn't get into the ball game. So I wonder if they tracked over here to New York to see it. He's pitching nice. He's given up 1 base runner. That was the walk to Mesoraco. Everybody else has gone down.
Welcome to Citi Field. Those of you who've been watching the Tampa Bay Washington hockey game, we welcome you to Citi Field. It's a Mets game where they have really broken out with the bats. 9 runs on 13 hits. They have a 9-2 lead as they bat in the bottom of the 7th. Jaime Garcia and Noah Syndergaard were the starters in this game. Syndergaard goes 5 innings. He's in line for the win. Garcia went 3 2/3, charged with 6 earned runs on 6 hits. The Blue Jays have managed just 2 runs on 5 hits to this point. And it's been all Mets. Brandon Nimmo, the left fielder, is 1 for 4 at an RBI single in the 5th. Mcguire brings that breaking ball in there. Two and 1. Mcguire picked up his first and only big league win last year in the final start of the season, October 1st in Chicago against the Cubs. Mcguire pitched 5 innings, allowed 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and struck out 2. (3-1) ground ball. Second for 1. Solarte's return throw is in time for a double play. Mcguire gives up a single. It's erased on a double play. We'll go to the 8th. 9-2 New York.
Shop for your Toronto Blue Jays. Come visit us at the Toronto Eaton Center, Rogers Center, gates 1 and 5, and every in-stadium kiosk. For more information, visit jshop.ca or call 1-877-JSHOP. Back up to Buck Martinez and Pat Tabler for the top of the 8th.
Thank you very much, Hazel May. We have made it to the 8th inning. Luis Guillermo takes over second base for Asdrubal Cabrera. Josh Donaldson, the batter, takes one upstairs for ball 1. Sept Lugo in his 3rd inning of relief. Breaking ball popped in the air, and that's going to be into the seats, out of play.
These two pitchers look very similar, don't they? Mcguire and Sept Lugo. Big roundhouse curve, slow curve ball. Just enough fastball to get it by you. If he ends up finishing up this game, he'll pick up his first save in his career.
Lefty Aaron Loop begins to throw in the Blue Jays bullpen. Mcguire, 2 1/3 innings. Very effective pitching. Donaldson reaches for it and pops it into foul ground. Flores is there and almost overran it, but he makes the catch. Flores lost his balance, but he almost overran it, and he has to make the over-the-shoulder catch. Making his 12th start at first base.
Picking up a Gold Glover over there, and Adrian Gonzalez.
Justin Smoke. Smoke is 1 for 2 with a walk. He singled and scored in the 3rd inning. Blue Jays scored 2 runs in the 3rd, and that's been it. Had 3 of their 5 hits in that 3rd inning. Deck is on deck. Fastball down and away. 2-1 now to Smoke. Ground ball. Rosario makes a nice play. The shortstop playing on the first base side of second.
You throw strikes, you work quickly, you keep those infielders going, and you're going to get great plays like that. That looked like it was heading to the outfield for a base hit, but Rosario, a good glove man, takes a hit away from Justin Smoke.
So Nick Mcguire will step to the plate. Nick is officially 0 for 3 as a hitter. He's got his first big league hit. Have a night, Nick Mcguire. Nick had an RBI last year in his final game, October 1st, at the Cubs, and now they're going to toss the baseball away.
Yeah, Tim Leeper understands. Leap knew that that was his first big league hit. So congratulations to Deck.
How about that? That was a clean single to left.
He's making the game look easy tonight.
Watch this swing.
Yeah, I can do that too.
And Everest Solarte, he has the only 2 RBIs for the Blue Jays tonight. That came in the 3rd inning, of course. Now, Nick Mcguire, how about that? A 2-out single, his first big league hit right here at Citi Field. Solarte drives this one to right. Jay Bruce makes a nice running catch to take extra bases away from Solarte. Sept Lugo gives up a first big league hit to Nick Mcguire. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Time now for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell with Cliff Floyd from the Samsung broadcast studio.
Presented by Honda. The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. It's the best time to find a Honda you'll love.
Come on.
We are in New York. The Mets have a 9-2 lead. As you look downtown at Manhattan, we are in Queens at Citi Field. And Luke Maile will take over behind the plate, but Russell Martin is not out of the game. Russell Martin will play next to Gio Urshela, who is playing at third. Donaldson is out of the game, but Martin takes over at shortstop.
First time in his career that he's played shortstop at the big league level. He had gone over to third. Urshela came in, and then they told him to flip. So Russell's played some games at second base, third base. He also has a game in the outfield, in right field when he was with Pittsburgh, and of course catching. But this is his first inning at shortstop.
Well, Mcguire has made the most out of his Blue Jays debut. Deck was a Blue Jays first rounder in 2010. Never got to the big leagues with the Blue Jays until this game tonight. A breaking ball hit in the air. Dwight Smith is not going to get it. It's over his glove up against the wall. Lagares is headed for third. And Solarte will not make a throw. And Juan Lagares has had a terrific night at the plate. That's his fourth hit. 3 singles and a triple.
Got some speed too to get him over to third base. Ball that was away from him, and he smoked it to right field, just out of the reach of Smith for extra bases. Watch as it goes out and gets this one. Backspins that ball, and it gets it into that little cutout down in right center field, and by the time the Blue Jays run it down, no chance.
First 4-hit game of the season for Lagares. Luis Guillermo getting his first plate appearance. He took over defensively for the second baseman, Asdrubal Cabrera. Cabrera finished up 1 for 4 in the game. Guillermo is from Florida. He was a 10th round pick of the Mets in 2013 out of Coral Springs High School. He made his debut this month against the Phillies. He was recalled from AAA Las Vegas and the Pacific Coast League on May 9th. He's got a base hit. That's his first hit here at home. He had a hit in his only other at bat, so he is 2 for 2. And the Mets get another run. It's 10-2 now as Lagares comes in from third base.
15 hits now for the Mets. Mcguire finished off the 5th inning. Flawless in the 6th. 7th inning, you up a hit and a double play. Now a triple single here in the 8th.
15 hits for the Mets, the second highest hit total they have put together this season. They had a 19-hit game against the Padres out in San Diego on the 29th of April. In that game, too, they scored 14 runs. That's their season high. They have scored 10. Just the 3rd time they've scored 10 or more runs this season. Ground ball. Nice play at third by Urshela, but not a double play ball. Urshela just into the game defensively. Gets the lead runner at second.
2 long throws. Made a nice little pick on that ball down the line, and the best they can do is just get one out. Wonder if that trip on the bases for Mcguire, he's trying to catch his breath. Gave up the triple, the single, now this hard hit ball that becomes a fielder's choice.
That's a great point, and we see it all the time when American League teams come into National League ballparks where a pitcher will have an extended at bat, get to run the bases, and then go back out, and they're gassed when they go back out to pitch.
If you're not used to it, he had that 2-out base hit, and then the fly ball to right field. He ran hard to third base, didn't get a chance to sit down. He had to pick up his glove and hat and go back out there and pitch. And I'm sure he's very happy that he's getting the chance.
Jacob Brown, just called up from the minor leagues, is standing ready down in the bullpen. Fouled back by Bruce. Jay Bruce had a double in the fourth. He's 1 for 4, scored a run. Breaking ball just off the plate outside. Boy, you're right. Deck Mcguire looks like a different guy since he ran the bases, doesn't he?
Yeah, you see him taking those deep breaths right there, trying to catch his breath. After running the bases, gave up the triple and the single. Finish him off.
Smoke makes the catch in fair territory. Flores gets back. It's 2 away now. Devin Mesoraco, he's had quite a night at the plate. He's been on base all 4 times he's come to the plate. He has walked 3 times, singled, he scored 3 runs. He goes after that first pitch and lifts a high pop. It's going to be over the screen and out of play. Pretty good outing for Deck Mcguire in his Blue Jays debut. He pitched well in spring training. He pitched well in Buffalo. High fly ball to left. Granderson's going to watch this one go. What a night for Devin Mesoraco. A 2-run home run here in the 8th inning. His second hit of the night. He's been on base 5 times. Home run, his 3rd home run of the season.
You mentioned it just a couple of years ago. Well, it's 4 years now. He was an all-star. He had 25 home runs, had 80 RBIs, so it's in there. He's just had to battle so many injuries over the last 4 seasons. Traded for Matt Harvey on the 8th, and he has come in and had himself a heck of a game.
He's had hip surgery. He's had labrum surgery on his shoulder. He's had significant injuries that have robbed him of playing time. But when he's healthy, he's a pretty good player. Third baseman Jose Reyes.
Still has a pretty good fastball there as he catches his breath. 93. I'm sure if he was asked to go 3 more innings, he'd do it. He's in the big leagues. He's pitching with the team that drafted him. And he's got a chance if he does well. And I think he's done okay tonight to warrant another chance.
He's thrown 48 pitches, 32 strikes. Pretty good ratio. Ground ball. Reyes gets jammed. Solarte will throw to first, and Mcguire closes out the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. They get 3 runs on 3 hits, including a home run by Devin Mesoraco. We'll go to the 9th. Pilar, Martin, and Mealy. It's a day game. Jay Hampel on the mound for the Blue Jays. It'll be opposed by Zach Wheeler, the right-hander. It all starts at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's a pregame show hosted by Jamie Campbell. That's 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. Beautiful Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor. And it has calmed down. The weather has, that's for sure. We had an hour and 26-minute rain delay to start this game. But we'll be back at it tomorrow afternoon. New pitcher for the Mets is Jacob Rame. AAA 8 games this season.
That's with the Las Vegas team. 8 games, 11 innings, 15 strikeouts. He's also gotten to 4 games for the Mets. Pretty decent fastball. He can really rely on that changeup. Says, I always relied on my changeup.
Kevin Pilar pops it up. Flores in foul ground. 1 out.
It's time to fire up your senses. Your best experience begins with Broil King. Available at your local home hardware. Here's how.
One out, top of the 9th inning. Russell Martin is 0 for 2 with a walk. Another high fly ball. Jay Bruce, the right fielder, makes the catch. 2 quick outs. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here's Ken Reed and Ivanka Osmek. Thank you very much. That's all coming up right after this game. Luke Mailing getting his first at-bat of the night. Took over defensively behind the plate. Batting in the shortstop's position, number 8 in the lineup. Rain picked up a save, his first big league save on April 8th at Washington in a 6-5 win. He began the year with the Mets, as Pat mentioned. He was optioned to AAA on April 13th.
Guess who he was traded for from the Dodgers? Curtis Granderson. He was the player to be named later in the Curtis Granderson deal last August. How about that to come full circle tonight?
That's pretty cool. Curtis Granderson had a nice reunion and a return here to Citi Field. They had a video tribute to him prior to the start of this game, and he was very accommodating for the press in the Blue Jays dugout. Bailey strikes out. That's the ball game. Rame 3 up, 3 down in the 9th, and the Mets had their hitting shoes on tonight as they win it.
Yeah,
12-2.
Another disappointing outing for a Blue Jay starter tonight. Jaime Garcia just 3 2/3 innings, but you gotta love the work of Mcguire tonight. He finished it up after he came up in with 2 outs in the 5th inning, finished it up for the Blue Jays. Gotta like what you saw from him tonight.
And he got his first big league hit. Not the only positives tonight. 12-2 Mets will be back at it tomorrow afternoon. Stay tuned. Here's Sportsnet Central with Ken and Ivanka.